Okay, this morning we're going to be performing an intermediate service on our little Abarth 595. The car is due a minor service. Last time, 9,000 miles ago, it got spark plugs. It got a BMC air filter, got pollen filter, all of that kind of thing. So this time around, the only thing it really needs is the oil filter. Need to clean out this air filter, and that is pretty much it. No spark plugs to do this time. Cam belt's not due for a little while yet, so at the very least what we'll do today is look at how to get the air filter out. The main thing will be how to change the oil, because it's a wee bit of a tougher thing on this car than most hatchbacks. And then we'll maybe see if we'll do a pollen filter as well. It doesn't really need it, but I do have one, so might throw that in. So the first thing we'll need to do is get this cover off, which contains the air filter underneath. You can see it's held on with a ring of bolts. These will be probably 10 if memory serves. So let's have a go at getting those out just now. Yep, so 7mm is the right socket size for these little bolts. Okay, when they come out, you'll see that they're more like screws really than bolts. So you just screw into the plastic. There's 3 of them. Just obviously put them somewhere safe, up in the scuffle or something. And the third one. Okay, so now this is hinged off of a couple of sort of tabs at the back here. All you need to do is lift the front of it up gently, and the whole thing just comes out like so. That gives us access in to just lift out the air filter. Just do gently. It's looking not too bad, to be honest. It was only put in 9,000 miles ago. Let's have a look. That's looking very, very clean to me. Maybe just a couple of little bits stuck in the back of it. So I've got over here, got an air line. So I'll just give this a blow out. Okay, just pulling the pleats apart. It looks pretty clean now, no dust or debris. Normally what you maybe do is put these in a soapy bath and then re-oil them, but I don't think I'm going to bother this time because it really doesn't look like it needs it. So we'll just look back at the car. Now the hole that it's sitting in it's clean inside, but it's a bit mucky on the outside here. So what I'm probably going to do is put the filter back in just so that the muck doesn't go back down inside, and I'll just get a cloth and give all this just a bit of a clean up. So for this job I've just got a little bit of this citrus degreaser, you know, buy it from any kind of car detailing place. I find it's quite good for this kind of engine based stuff. So just give everything a quick clean up. Some old rags. I buy these online from a paint supply shop, Express Paints. You get a big bale of these cloths, hundreds of them, thousands of them even in a bale. They're just ripped up painter's rags. Initially use them for painting, but they're actually quite good for these kind of things because they're just disposable. Just get rid of them afterwards. Okay, that's that all cleaned up, which is good. If you were replacing the filter, it really is just as simple as lift the old one out, make sure that the inside of the airbox is clean. If you need to get a little vacuum, or just give it a wipe out, this one's still not too bad, and then that's it. Just stick the new one in. So now that we're ready to put the cover back on, give the cover a clean up in a second as well, but you can see there's a couple of little tabs at the back here, a couple of matching tabs on this. All you need to do is get them to line up, drop in, and that's it. You just put the screws back in now. That's all you need to do for the air filter. Okay. Do not need to be terribly tight, just hand tight is fine. Don't go putting a socket ratchet on these and doing them right up. They are only screws at the end of the day, they're not really bolts. And just yeah, nip them up a wee bit, and I'll just give this a bit cleaned out. So now we can move on to the oil change. Now, to do the oil change, I'm going to have to put the car up on the ramps. Got the ramps waiting over here. However, before we go on to that, just something to point out, because I was not really aware of this before I did this for the first time. The oil filter housing is down here. Now, you can easily get a socket down this gap with some joints on it and get that out. However, the filter housing and the filter itself will not come out because of this elbow that's in the way. Now, this elbow connects onto the compressor side of the turbo, and it has some other lines on it, and you can see that all of these have got Jubilee clips on them. These are Jubilee clips that I put on the last time. They do not come with these style. What they instead come with, if I can find an example of one, I'll use this one down here. They have these little compression clips, and these compression clips are single use only. When they're put on and banded, you use a set of pliers to crimp them, and that pulls the connections tight. Now you can lever them off with a flathead screwdriver, but you will really struggle to put them back on. It's pretty much impossible, and even if you do, they're not necessarily going to seal as well because you've maybe bent them up a wee bit. So what I ended up doing was running down to the local hardware shop and get a load of the Jubilee clips of varying sizes. I'll be lying if I said I could remember, but be aware of that. If you've got another vehicle, then fine. You know, you can then take the old bands away, go down and buy some matching size Jubilees. Or if this is your only car, I would suggest that you buy a big mix pack of Jubilees up to, say, 80mm diameter down to about sort of 10-20mm diameter. Some of them really are quite small. So we'll get the car up on the ramps and then we'll get on with it. Okay, off camera, we're going to put the ramps in place. Found that due to the clearance with the front splitter, the ramps would actually foul. So what I've done is driven up onto some paving slabs that I had lying around. We've got a couple of blocks of wood. Hopefully that will be enough to get the car up onto the ramps without touching anything. So we'll see how it goes. Well, you probably got a better view of that than I did, but it seems to have worked. Yeah. Good. Okay, let's crack on. Okay, so you've seen me put the car up on the ramps, so I've just got the car ready to work on now. Most important thing, even though the car's up on the ramps, the handbrake is on. I've put these blocks in place on the rear wheels. That car can't roll down the ramps. You can see, put a block in front of the rear wheel here, probably a bit unnecessary. The ramp does have these nice big lugs at the front that would stop it rolling over, but the handbrake's on, but you know, you can never be too safe. Bonnet's open, and I've got sheet cardboard to lie on. So The first thing you'll need to do before you can actually get to the drain plug is to take off this under tray here, because you can see the fins of the sump just in there. So the under tray is held on with a few bolts. So we've got that rusty bolt there on the back of that. Over on the other side there's another one, so that's two. You've then got a third one there, a fourth one on the opposite side, fifth one where the front splitter comes in. You've got one just there. There's supposed to be another one at this side, but that one snapped off. The car's 3 years old, already corroding to the point when the bolts are snapping, so make of that what you will. So what I'm going to do now is get the socket set. I think these are 10. I'll tell you as soon as I get the socket set out, and then we'll get the under tray off. The way to do it is do the ones at the back first, then these ones at the sides, and then the ones at the front, because otherwise if you do the ones at the front first, the under tray will be falling on your face while you're trying to get the rear bolts out. So let's have a crack. Okay, so it is indeed a 10mm. Now that I'm under the car, I'm going to put my safety glasses on, just stop any rust falling in the eye. So like I say, that one's long gone, so I'll just get my little 3/8 ratchet together with my 10mm, make sure it's set to loosen. There we go. Let's just start and go. Yeah, so there's the first one out. Just put that somewhere safe. And move on to the next one. Okay, and the next one out. That's the back of the tray free now, so can move on to these ones at the side. Go. So at this point I wish I'd got the air ratchet out rather than doing this by hand. Okay. There we go. Good. Oh, they just get so corroded, these things. Maybe I didn't put copper grease on after all, I'm certainly doing it this time. So we've just got one bolt left back here. There we go. Just turn you slightly so that you can see this, hopefully. Sorry if the camera's a bit shaky. Okay, now the under tray is usually tucked up inside this other piece. So this is the front piece here, it would be tucked up inside, and all you need to do is kind of work it off towards the back of the car, and then the under tray comes off just like that. Just take it out. So, okay, now let's have a lookie for the drain plug. So now that we have the under tray off, we've exposed the bottom of the sump and the exhaust and the gearbox and everything. Okay, so yeah, so the sump plug is on the back of the finned sump here. Just holding the camera. It's up in here. I think if I recall correctly, it's a 13mm. So we'll just get the socket set on that and crack it loose. Now, doing these jobs, move the XJ cat out of the way. This is one of the best investments I've ever made. It was about 10 quid on Amazon. Don't mess around with old dishwasher, or sorry, dish boxes for your sink. Can't think now. Get one of these. It's got a proper sort of drain tap on it. And then what I like to do is use these old 25 litre screen wash jugs and dump all the oil in that. So I've got an old one there, which is nearly full, and I've got another one now ready to go. So we'll just get this in place. Make sure you've got plenty of rags. So I'll get all that and join us again. Okay, so I've now got everything in place. I've got the catch pan in underneath the sump. Got the socket ready. It is not a 13. My memory is clearly very poor today. It's actually a 17. Again, the little 3/8 drive should be more than enough. You don't want to be cranking these sump plugs right up. So all that's left to do is to take the oil cap off, because otherwise you'll have a vacuum. Can I do this with my left hand? Oh, jeez, oh. There we go. So yeah, just take the oil cap off so that you don't get a vacuum and the oil can just drain straight out. So I'll just put that up there, and I'll put you down here. Okay, so I've got my rags ready just in case. Do that temporarily until I get my sump plug off. Make sure they're set to loosen. There we go. There we go. Just crack it off. And these things are typically so loose that as soon as you crack them off, you can just take them off by hand. So I might take my glove off for this just so that my hands get okay, not on my nice gloves. Just check that the little copper washer which is on here is just coming off with the sump plug. You don't really want to let that go into the pan if you can, even though it'll just be going in the bin. That's nearly loose. There we go, so just there, nice. Just the tiniest little bit on my finger there, that was good. Oof, 9,000 miles and it's totally black. That's why short oil change intervals are a good thing. Just with a bit of wind that we've got, I'm just going to move this a little so that it catches everything. Good. Now all we need to do is be patient. Just wait for that to drain, and then once it's done, we can think about the oil filter. Okay, so what we've got now, the sump is still open down there. We've got a sump plug out. It's just trickling still. Just have a wee look. Yeah, it's just dripping now. So we'll just let that drip and let as much oil as we can get out. So what we're now going to do is get access to the oil filter, which is probably the toughest part of this job. So, as I mentioned earlier, these things would not normally be Jubilees. They would be these compression clips, like the one over here, or these ones. You can see what they're like. What you would have to do if you had those on here is just get your little flathead screwdriver in the kind of crease of them. You'll see how they lock together. Just prise them apart. Once they pop out, they're pretty much done. You can sort of reuse them, but you probably really shouldn't. So get yourself some Jubilees, or be prepared to go and get yourself some Jubilees once you've got these clips off. So what I'm going to do is start taking them apart. From memory, I think I only need to take off this one, the big one on the turbo, and this little breather pipe as well. So we'll just start getting those off just now. Okay, that's it, nice and loose. Okay, so we've got this one. There we go. that's that one nice and loose as well. And now we'll just have a wee loosen of that one too. Try not to lose these. Okay. So now what we can do is start separating this elbow. There we go, just a bit of force, get that apart. Just keep working it. Off the turbo. Nearly lost my little Jubilee there. You see that Jubilee just falling off the end, so we'll just get that out. Good. So yeah, you can see here the type of Jubilee clips that I got for the job. Now, with that, you can move the boost pipe away up over to the back here. Try and tuck it in some way, shape, or form. That'll do. Okay. So the reason why I've done that is so that I can now get down to that oil filter cap housing. So that's what we're going to have a go at just now. Okay, so I've been out, I've had the 1/2" drive socket set out. That is a 27mm socket on the end of my extension. So what I have is the universal joint extension on that, and then I've got this short extension here. What I then usually do is I've got a long extension on the ratchet, just so it brings it way up out of the car, because you can see it's quite deep into the engine bay, and then that will get the filter housing out. Now, one of the frustrating things is that it will drip oil down onto the ground down there, so what I'm about to do is put the sump plug back in and move the tray of oil so that it's got more to drop into. So what I'm going to do is go and get the sump plug. I'll show you how to put that back in, and then we'll come back and we'll crack on with that. Okay, so I've just still got the sump plug off. You can see that it is it's not really even dripping anymore. You can just see a drip just gone there. That's the oil out. So now seems like a good time to go over the replacement oil and filter that we're going to use. So this is the sump plug. You can see it's got this little copper washer on, which can I get off with my gloves? Of course I can. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it's got this copper washer on it. Now, if you were to reuse that, it's not the end of the world. You know, it will just crush again. But if you buy proper parts, so I've got the genuine parts. Speak to a very nice guy called Richard up at Abarth in Inverness. He gets us the genuine stuff, just sends it down in the post for a good price. So we've got two 2-litre cans of the Selenia 10W50 genuine engine oil for the car. Car only takes about 3, so each time I do this I seem to end up with 1 litre, but I tend not to use the half-open bottle because that you know, that oil will be old and oxidised. It's been sitting around for nearly a year. Anyway, inside the filter box here you get a few things. So we've got a nice genuine Lancia, Fiat and Alfa Romeo branded filter. So we'll be using that, but lo and behold, in the bottom there we've got a new copper washer. So I'll just get that out. We'll use this in a moment, sealing for the filter, but for now all we'll do is take the new copper crush washer, drop it on the sump plug, and then we'll put the sump plug back in. Okay, I've just done this off camera because it's a little fiddly, but that's new sump plug just threaded on. I've taken the catch pan away for now, and I'm just going to do this one up by hand, and then once the crush washer touches and it tightens up, what you should do is have a tiny little torque wrench that only does the, I think it's about 20 or 24 Newton meters that this sump plug actually needs. Unfortunately, I don't actually have one of those little torque wrenches. Probably something I really should invest in. So what I'm going to do is just get my 3/8 drive ratchet and just do this up about 1/8 to a quarter of a turn, and that should do it nicely. So I'm just going to do that off camera. Okay, so as just discussed, I'll just put the sump plug back in, tightened it up just about 1/8 of a turn. I've moved the catch pan. It's nowhere near full because it's got such a tiny oil capacity. If you need to, you could empty it before you move on, but there's loads of capacity left in it. So I've tried to move it to below where the oil filter housing is, so it'll catch anything that comes out of there. So as already mentioned, I've got this 27mm socket on there. It's a wee bit of a faff to put on, but you just reach down and push it on with your hand, like so. It's got these little plastic clips that will hold your socket on for you, which is actually quite nice. So all I need to do now is get my big ratchet, and we'll be able to undo it. It shouldn't be tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on here. Sorry if this is a bit wobbly in the wind. Good. So got the ratchet, make sure it's to loosen. Connect it up. Make sure it's on nicely, and then good. And that's it. So now that it's loose, I can just take it off by hand. I wonder if I'm going to be able to move you to a position where you're going to be able to see this. There we go, how's that? So just reaching in, and it'll just undo by hand now. Sorry about the motion on the camera. Good, so that's it now come apart from the filter housing. So what I'm just going to do is gently take this out and let any excess just kind of drain through into the catch pan. Start pulling it out. So what you'll see is the oil filter, the old one, is actually still attached into the housing. They clip in. So I can just now take the whole thing and bring it down onto the cardboard. Good. So this is why you want the rags, because there's quite a lot of oil left in these. So I've got another one here which I'm going to use just to clean up the muck that collects on the bottom of the filter housing. There's some of that road. Okay. Just clean up the threads, get any muck off. Good. Okay, now what I can do is just pull the filter off like so. Notice that the bit with the sort of teeth on it has gone into the filter, so that's the way the new one will need to go on. So what I'm going to do is just wrap that up in my old cloth, and then we'll just give the inside of the filter housing a clean. Just make sure you're using a relatively clean cloth. You don't want to get muck inside the oil system. This one's just a bit oily. Good. Okay. The last thing is kind of hard to see, but there is actually a rubber O-ring on this, which is what the new O-ring is for, that came in the kit. So what I'm going to do for that is little box of screwdrivers. I actually have a better tool than this, but it's not easy to reach at the moment on camera. A little screwdriver, but rather than having a flathead, it's got like almost like a spike on the end of it. Sort of little round pry tool, and that is perfect for getting these out. But nevertheless, this will do the job just nicely. So you can see the rubber O-ring in here. So all I need to do is get the screwdriver in, and then just pull the O-ring off like so, and this can go in the bin. Okay, sorry about the wind moving the camera. So now I've got my new let's move that out of the way. leaks anymore. Good. So I've got the new kit here. So it's got the new filter on it. What we want to do is get the new O-ring on. However, before we do that, you want to lubricate it with a bit of oil just to help it seal. So I've got my new can here. So I can just do this, and they just pull up like so. Just undo the cap, and then they've got one of these little sort of seal things in there, so just pull that out. Good. So now that I've got my seal, what I want to do is just get like a bit of oil on the finger, just work the oil onto the seal, get it all over my screwdrivers. That's it, you don't need very much, just a little bit. And then what we can do is just take the seal and work it over the threads, he says. There we go. And then you can see that there's a channel for it, so we'll just keep working it down. There we go, into the channel, and then just go around. Okay, so that's in place now. Housing complete. Okay, so now we've got our new filter. Like I say, if you're paying attention, then the clips go into the bottom, so you just put it in and just squeeze together until it clips like that very easily. And now what you'll see is that the thing will not fall out. Now, a lot of people, what they want to do is half fill the filter housing before you put the filter in to kind of prime it. Obviously on the Abarth, pretty much impossible because it goes down the way, so any oil you put in it will just fall out. So what I do is just put them in dry, and the oil system is so efficient on modern cars that it'll have that filter filled within a second or two, and it won't affect the engine at all. So now what we can do is put this filter back in. So I'm just going to pause quickly while I move the camera, and then you'll join us again as we are putting that back in. Okay, so as before, filters in, the ring O-ring is on, nicely coated with a thin film of oil. Got a new clean rag just in case we need it. So now what I'm going to do, I can bring you over. I've got the housing down there. It's going to be pretty impossible to empty that of oil, but I'll just do a quick clean up best I can. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take the oil filter and gently just let the housing go back in, and just set it in, and then just make sure the threads are engaged. Quite hard to cross thread them, but let's do it up. Now these usually have a little torque value on them. This one's saying 25 Newton meters. Again, if you've got a small torque wrench, then that's what you want to do. I unfortunately do not have such a small torque wrench, so again it's done until it's hand tight. So that's at hand tight now, and then what I'll do is I'll get the big socket on it, and I'll do it up just about a quarter of a turn. So again, got my big extension, just make sure the ratchet's set to tighten, yep, and then we'll just feed the 27mm socket on. That's it, and then just about half a turn, or quarter of a turn I should say, and that should be us done. Good, all done. You can see the oil filter housing's back on. Really, really easy once you get the boot out of the way. So the next task is going to be to put the boot back on for the turbo feed pipe, and then we can fill it with some oil. So that's what I'm going to work on just now. Okay, so I'm going to put my Jubilee back on, feed the turbo down, and just start putting some of these connections together. So that's the boot back in place on the turbo, on the intake, and then this breather pipe on as well. So all I need to do now is go around and do up the Jubilee clips, and then we can put some oil back in it. There we go, that's more like it. That pipe back on properly. So, just getting Jubilee in the right place. There we go. You may notice I've kind of put this on the other way around to the way that I had the last time. I'll show you in a second on the camera, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's giving the seal, and it's actually in some ways easier this way. Good. So, as I was saying, I've kind of, if you remember from the start of the video, I've put that Jubilee on the other way around. The screw was over on this side before, but it doesn't really matter. Like I say, it's actually been easier with it that way round. Got the big Jubilee on here, and got this little breather pipe on as well. I ended up just having to use a little screwdriver in there and just kind of press down on the pipe to get it to seat back on. But that's all done. So now what we can do is put some oil in it. So I'm going to go and get the funnel, and you'll join us again in. Okay, so I've got my funnel. Just giving it a bit of a clean up with the rag, and just going to pop that in the oil filler. Now, like I say, the oil capacity is about 3 litres. These are only 2, so I can throw this whole can in, and you know, don't need to worry about that. This one's the easy one, and then we'll pay a bit more attention for the next one. So just take the cap off again, and then we can just get going. Try and spill it all over the engine. Get a bit of brake cleaner for that. While we're waiting on this, I appreciate the stability of the camera is not great. It's not on a brilliant mount. I may get a better one, I'm not really sure. I don't really do YouTube as a career or in any way to make money, just kind of recording what I'm doing, so apologies if the recording isn't as good quality as you would get from someone else, but hopefully you found it helpful. Good. And that is that one pretty much done. Okay, now for the next one, we're going to put about just under a litre in and then use the dipstick to check it. Bearing in mind the car isn't level at the moment, so we can't be absolutely sure what the level is, so we'll wait until it's moved on to the flat ground to really get a full true level. We also obviously have to run the engine for a little while so the oil filter fills and we'll get a true reading. So I'll just get the other can and we'll open it up. Okay, let's get pouring. Now, with these being metal cans, it is kind of hard to judge what halfway is. So I'll just stop in a little moment and have a look inside the can. Good, so that's about a quarter used. So I'll just put another quarter of the can in. Good, right, that's about half a can. So I'll just temporarily put the cap back on and we'll check the dipstick. So dipstick's back here. Let's bring it out. It'll not be accurate on this first one, so just give it a clean and dump it back in. Oops, sorry, audience. Try not to bash it. Just wait a couple of seconds and then pull. And then, good. Oh, sorry, you're not seeing this. Looks pretty full. Just about on the right mark. But like I say, we've got the oil filter to fill, and we need to get it on the level. So I'll leave it at that for now, and you'll check back with us again in a minute or two. So for now, I'll just put the dipstick back and take the filter away. The filter, the funnel, what I'm on about. Okay, and then I'll just give the oil cap here just clean. And then that can screw back on. Like so. Good. So like I say, we'll move it off the ramps, let it run for a little while, and then we'll check the oil again in a minute or two, and you'll join us for that. Okay, so since you were last with us, what I've done is refit the under tray. It's pretty easy. It's quite obvious how it fits. Put the bolts in, apart from the one which was already missing. So that's all secure and in place. I brought the car down off the ramps, and on these paving slabs at the front it makes the car pretty much totally level. So what I've done, run the engine for about a minute or two, just let everything circulate, let the oil drain once the car was off back down into the sump. Just check the dipstick. I can't really do it one-handed because I've got you held in the other hand, but the oil level is pretty much spot on. So what we're going to do is use the car for the weekend, and then tomorrow evening we'll check the oil again and make sure that it's all still at the right level. So all I'm going to do now is give this engine bay a bit of a clean up, because it's not been cleaned up in quite a few miles. You can see just how much muck there is in and around the engine bay. And that is pretty much the service done. I may yet go in and show you how to reset the service indicator on the dash. Can't quite remember how you do that. I'll need to YouTube that myself. You could obviously do the same, and that will be it. Don't think I'm going to bother with the pollen filter today, but that's it. That's how you change the air filter, the oil, and the oil filter on an Abarth. Next time I'm servicing it, it'll be getting a set of spark plugs in 9,000 miles. I may film that again and show you how to do the spark plugs. To be honest, it's not terribly difficult. All you have to do is basically take this air cover or this air box off and pull it off these sort of rubber mounts that it's on, and that's once you've got the boot off, and that is pretty much job done. So I hope you found that useful. Not terribly difficult, maybe slightly more fiddly than an ordinary kind of hatchback where everything's ultra easy to access, but hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll see you again for the next one.